Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to I Care About You, the podcast where we dive deep into what it's like to be human in this human body, living this experience, and how to find our purpose and our way in life, and joy and happiness, and all the other things that a rich and fulfilling life can bring. I am your host, Juliana J, and today we're talking about something that touches all of us, especially when life gets hard. Being in the here and the now. Practicing mindfulness, staying present, and how that can be one of the most powerful tools during challenging times. Whether you're a healer or a therapist, a parent, an educator, a teenager, a member of a marginalized community, or simply someone navigating some turbulence in life, this episode is for you. It's been a challenging time here in the United States for a lot of people. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of disruption. And it's really easy to get caught up in that and to have that become a definition of who you are rather than something you're working through right now. And mindfulness can really be helpful in that space when you feel very unsure, very worried, very frightened, to be able to employ some techniques of mindfulness to help you find a calmer, more centered presence can sometimes be so healing in and of itself. So come along as we explore what it means to be present, why it matters, the research behind it, and how it helps when times are rough, and a few practical ways you can bring the presence into your life right now. So take a breath and settle in, and let's begin. So what does it mean to be present? First, what do we mean by being present? What do we mean by the here and now? What is mindfulness in this context? So when we talk about being present, we're referring to giving our full attention in a kind, non-judgmental way to what is happening right now. And by that, I mean our sensations, our emotions, our thoughts, our environment. It's not about erasing the past or the future or the place you find yourself in. It's about anchoring ourselves in the present moment. As one mental health writer puts it, the benefits of this type of mental lifestyle are plentiful. Those who live in the moment tend to be happier, calmer, and more relaxed and appreciative. And that was taken by Psychology Today. I'll put the link in the description. And another one, mindfulness is the practice of giving full, non-judgmental attention to the present moment. Studies show it can lower anxiety, improve focus, and enhance emotional regulation. I will also put that article in the description. Presence doesn't mean we erase our challenges or ignore what's ahead or imply toxic positivity or any of that. It means we become aware of what's alive right now. And from there, we can respond rather than react. Here's an example. So I invite you to pause. The ability to take a pause in life. If something hits you, someone says something to you, something happens at work, there's a challenging situation on the road or at home, to learn to take a pause before you react is really important. And here is a little exercise as to how to do that for yourself. Just take a moment to pause, close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. And notice, what is happening inside you right now? Maybe a feeling, tension, softness, curiosity. Maybe there are thoughts. I have too much to do. I'm tired. I don't know how to solve this problem. Maybe there's sounds around you, birds, airplanes, cars, people talking, sometimes even the buzz of a light or a refrigerator. Just notice it without judgment, just being there present, noticing what is there. How do you feel? Where are you? What's happening in the world around you? Just taking that pause. And it can be literally about 30 to 45 seconds, maybe a minute or two. I find that a deep breath in a pause is so helpful when something happens that is triggering or takes you back. That little pause is an act of presence, is an act of mindfulness. That's what we're talking about today. And it matters. especially when life is turbulent. And why does staying present really help you when things are hard? Let's explore several key reasons supported by research, and then I'll weave them into our lived experience. 1. Reduces stress and rumination. When we face hardships like loss, change, uncertainty, trauma, relational challenges, a lot of our suffering comes not only from what is happening, but from our mental replay, from ruminating about the past, worrying about the future, being lost in all of the what ifs that are there. It's replaying it over and over in your mind. Research shows that focusing on the present moment leads to better health, lower anxiety, and greater resilience to stress. Another review found that mindfulness brings reduced psychological symptoms and increased subjective well being. Playing it over and over in your life, looking at situations through hindsight, can give you a distorted view of what is happening, what is possible, and what is needed because you're fixated on everything that's wrong or that you perceive to be wrongs. Half the time, we don't even know if what we're thinking is a truth or not. We're just assuming someone's mad at us. We did the wrong thing. We can't fix this. All of those things. And being able to be mindful and present in the moment, in the here and now, stops that. It cuts off that obsessing, that going over and over and over it in your mind, that hindsight, that ruminating. It stops it in its tracks and just gives you a moment to re regulate your nervous system. Another thing it does is create space between the stimulus and the response. When we're not present, we often operate on autopilot. We've all done autopilot things. We're walking home and we can't remember the last 4 blocks. We're doing a task like brushing our teeth and whatnot. We can't remember things that might have happened in between or that we even did it. We're operating our whole life on autopilot and we're not present. We're on autopilot and we're triggered by thoughts, feelings, memories, fears, and we're reacting to all of that without noticing. We're just being on autopilot. Oh, someone says something to us. Our usual response is this, or we usually lash out. It's just an autopilot response. It's one of those grooves in our brains that we've made deep by doing the same thing over and over and over again. And your brain likes to put things on autopilot because there's just so much going on. You can't possibly be present for every single thing that happens in life. So your brain makes these autopilot responses to things because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stimulus coming at you all the time. But you have to be the one to shift those autopilot responses. It won't happen naturally or on its own. Being present gives us a moment of pause. Instead of immediately reacting, we notice, here's what's happening right now. One blog notes this kind of awareness helps create a space between the stimulus and response, allowing you to act with clarity, wisdom, rather than reactive habits. That's exactly what I'm talking about here. Sometimes when you take a moment or a pause, you can really come back to the situation with more wisdom than you would have if you just went on your reactive habit. A classic example for me would be at work with emails. You get an email that you immediately triggers you for something, you're frustrated. Instead of just firing another one back, taking a moment, a pause to reread it with clarity, to maybe ask some clarifying questions, to remember that it's an email and it's not a personal experience, and maybe you're reading something into it that isn't there. There's so many other ways you can come to a situation. But if you don't take the time to pause, you'll just do an autopilot habit. In challenging times, that pause can mean the difference between being overwhelmed and being grounded. There's a really strong connection with mindfulness and feeling overwhelmed. When you feel overwhelmed, for me, it's that I'm just letting all the stimuli come to me and then I'm grappling with it all. Like this weekend, I have a really packed weekend of fun stuff, but I'm feeling overwhelmed about just all the things I have to do. And then going to work, I'm working on a Sunday. So navigating all those things and putting all those puzzle pieces together felt really overwhelming for me until just took a pause and decided to take it one day at a time. And then it's not so overwhelming. And having a game plan for how am I going to pack for work on Sunday because I'll be out of town for 3 days. and being mindful about having all of that stuff ready ahead of time so I'm not packing in the early morning and feeling more stressed out than I normally would. It allowed me space to have a game plan, to put something in place that's workable and doable rather than just reacting in my same old ways or waiting till the last minute. And the third thing this pause, this presence, this mindfulness does, it helps with meaning, connection, and authentic living. When we stop being caught up in the past and the future, we can engage more fully in our relationships, our values, and our purpose. Presence invites us to connect deeply, to be here for someone, including ourselves. One article states, by learning to focus on the present moment, you can build resilience and increase your overall sense of well being. And during hard times, that connection to itself, to others, to what matters becomes a lifeline. I cannot stress that enough. Finding that connection in your life, those deep connections, are so meaningful. And the connection can be to yourself. We often lose connection with ourselves because we're people pleasing, we're overgiving, we're doing all these things, we're worried about what others think. And we lose that deep connection to ourselves. We lose a deep connection to others. We lose a connection to what matters to us because we're too busy doing what we think matters to others or what our expectations are, or just our old habits are coming into play, or we're living in the past, or we're worried about the future. All these things can whittle away at our deep connections with ourselves and others and things that matter. So let's talk about metaphors for this to just get a deeper understanding. So the first metaphor is the storm and the anchor. Imagine life as a small boat on a choppy sea. The storm is challenging and it represents your challenging moments. The waves, the wind, the uncertainty. Your mind might be thrown around by thoughts of, what if this gets worse? How could I have prevented this? When will this end? Will it ever end? Is this my life now? All future and past oriented. Being present is like dropping the anchor into the sea. The mast on your boat steadies for a moment. You're not controlling the storm. You're still feeling the motion, but you're anchored in this moment. Notice your breath. Notice where you are. Notice how you're feeling, and feel the anchor giving you deep stability, anchoring you, grounding you. The second metaphor is of the garden and weeds. Your mind is a garden. In challenging times, fears, stress, regret, worry can grow like weeds. If you're constantly looking back at yesterday's weeds or anxiously planning tomorrow's seeds, you miss out on the rich soil under your feet. Being present is like kneeling in your garden right now, feeling the soil, noticing the sunlight, maybe pulling a weed out, maybe planting a seed. It's a tangible action in this moment, grounded over time, that cultivates resilience and growth. I use this metaphor all the time in just taking stock of my life and what it looks like. And am I paying enough attention to all the parts of the garden that is my mind? Am I cultivating joy? Am I cultivating downtime, rest? Am I cultivating self care? Am I cultivating all the things that are important and interesting to me in my life, my relationships, my values, my path in life? Am I cultivating all those things, or am I too busy worrying about the weeds and all the things I should be doing in the past and the present? As a real gardener, I have noticed that you don't have to worry about the weeds so much if you're planting a dense, lush garden, like a cottage garden of some kind, because all those flowers and plants will choke out the weeds. And so it's kind of applying those actual real things you would in a real garden to your imaginary garden. And that can be a journal where you're drawing things and writing about things as your garden. It's a really fun exercise. And the third metaphor is story or an invitation. This is about imagining yourself as someone who has these people around you that are your gardeners of the present. They're the people that in your life listen to you, care about you, support you. They're part of your tending of your garden. And notice what's alive now and attend it with care. You meet what is happening in the moment rather than fighting it. This metaphor is a little more out there in the ether for me, really. I prefer something that I can imagine in my mind, like the garden or even the waves. But something like this is more of a story or an invitation. You're inviting people to help you become gardeners in your garden, tending what is alive for you now and attending to it with care rather than getting stuck in the before and after and ideas about what the thing might be or how others might see or the judgment that's happening and all these other things. It's about letting that go and just realizing where your support system is and how you can collaborate with your support system to create what you need and to pause and to not wheel out of control with all these thoughts you have that may be true or not true. You'll never know. You can know. I shouldn't say you never know. But if you perceive that someone's mad at you, but you haven't had a conversation with them yet, that is not a reality. You're making it a reality by thinking that's what happened. But if you think to yourself, what's the invitation here? I can invite this person to communicate with me and I will communicate with them about whatever happened so that we can move past it and through it and over it. Or maybe I talk to a friend or a therapist or a coach or a healer or a parent or a guardian or a BFF or whatever it is. And I role play this or I talk to them about it and see what their insights are. And I don't go wild with anything. I just take it in and sit with it for a moment and try to figure out what is the best path forward. For me, I like to imagine the problem or the situation or the issue as the sphere kind of outside of me that I'm holding. It's not me. Anything that happens to you in life, it's not you. That's something that happened to you. It's not a self definition. So I like to imagine it outside of myself in this sphere. This is what I think is the big problem right now. And when I can examine it outside of myself, I can be a little bit more present with what's happening. It's not that gross feeling in the bottom of my stomach where I feel like I might throw up because something horrible happened. Although I'm feeling those feelings, I can hold the problem in my hand and then I can be mindful about, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I have a horrible stomach ache. I feel angry, mad, sad. I feel grief, shame because of this thing right here. It's contained in this sphere. What do I think about that? Let me just take a pause and live into the now. This exists. What can I do about it? Where can I go? It's really hard. It's hard to be right in the presence of things in the moment. But when you really tap into the present in the moment, the problem kind of falls away for a minute or two. It's not that you're not going to come back and deal with it, but if you can just be more mindful between the situation that happened and your internal definition, your self definition, and really think about what you can do, where you could go, what's happening right now, why. It gives you a just calmer sense of moving forward. Okay, let's get into what is practical because all of this sounds great, or maybe it sounds kind of weird and you can't quite understand it. It takes me a long time to understand it too. Just when I think I understand mindfulness, there's a new door that opens and I'm back studying it again, trying to figure it out again, applying mindfulness in maybe not a traditional way, but in a way that can work for these really challenging times. And so don't worry so much if you're like, I don't really get it other than just being in this moment, just taking a pause. If you can just learn to take a pause, that's such a game changer. You'll be amazed. Concentrate on that, the pause, the standing between the future and the past, the being right there in the middle of the future and the path. It's the calm in the storm. It's like that metaphor where you're in the boat, but instead, the storm is around you, but not with you in that moment. You're in a calm sea, and you can take a moment to look around at the storm and see what the best path is forward, or do you just wait till it settles? It's about being in the calm, being in the present. When you're in that garden of your mind, It's about just sitting there for a moment, sitting there and seeing what is and what maybe you could cultivate or work on and what not to. What needs more time? It's sitting in the calm while the storm is around you. That's really how I see it. But now let's talk about practical ways that you can do that. The first one is you can anchor in your breath. Whenever you notice that you're spiraling, you have this past, future situation, there's overwhelm, bring your attention to the breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Or you can just breathe however you want, but I often breathe in for 4, hold for 2, breathe out for 6. It's very regulating for the nervous system. And just feel the rise and fall of your chest, of your belly. Feel the breath on your nose or your lips. And do this for 30 seconds or a couple of minutes, however it works for you. It's simple, it's available anytime, it's no equipment. I used to do it all the time in my office when we were really dealing with deadlines and there was a lot of high emotion. I would often just take a few breaths. I take 3 breaths here, and then I'm going to think about next steps. But it's just pausing. And the breath is it's so easy to do that. And it calms your nervous system. Because you notice when you start to get overwhelmed, your breath becomes short and fast, and maybe you forget to breathe at all. That's something I do quite routinely when I'm stressed out. And remembering to breathe just kind of regulates your nervous system. Another tool you can do is a body scan. It's kind of a micro pause. And by body scan, I mean just I like to close my eyes and feel what my body's feeling. And I'll start from my feet. I'll move up through my legs, my hips, my spine, my shoulders, my arms, my hands, my face. And I notice the tension and I notice how it feels, the ease when I relax that tension. And there's no need to fix it. I'm just sensing it. And this really helps to ground you. You can also feel what it feels like to be sitting on your chair and how sturdy that feels. I often find that when I do a body scan, I have clenched fists or jaw or my eyes, sometimes all these muscles around your eye sockets, your cheeks, your jaw, and just relaxing that for a moment because all those tense things you're doing in your body are part of that automatic reaction response that you've made into a habit. And learning to relax that then is a different message to your body. If you're no longer going around with clenched fists and jaw, then you have the ability to become something else. Oh, a stressful moment happens and I relax and take a moment rather than get tightened up and react. There's also something a friend of mine does all the time, mindful notice of the environment. It just when something gets stressful, look around you, pick an object, notice its color, its texture, its shape, then another. Notice the sounds and the smells. Turning your attention outward anchors the present and reminds you that you are alive right now. This isn't when you're having a deep conversation with somebody, I'm not saying you all of a sudden look at that plane or anything like that. That can be infuriating to the other person. But if you have a moment to yourself to just look around the environment and notice things, notice it deeply. Don't even try to define what it is that you're noticing. That's a really interesting game I've been playing with myself is to notice something but not identify it as beautiful or ugly or interesting, just to notice it, just to see it, all the aspects of it without defining it in your mind. Just notice what it smells like, what it feels like, what the air is like, what the weather's like. How many times have you gone into work and you have no idea what the weather's like until you walk out after work is over? I did this just a couple days ago. So it's being mindful of the environment. This is a very classic mindful technique is to label your thoughts and feelings. When difficult thoughts come into your mind, like I'm failing, this pain will never end, I'll never get out of it, rather than getting caught in it, you might silently say to yourself, "Oh, this is a thought. My pain will never end. Oh, another thought. I'm failing. Oh, this is fear. This is a feeling. Oh, this feeling is sadness." This simple act of labeling creates distance. It's part of a mindfulness practice. It's very, very common and it's very, very effective. It does remove that intertwining of yourself with your thoughts. It does allow a little bit of space, a little bit of distance, rather than feeling panicked and moving into this state of, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, overwhelm and anxiety. If you just notice, oh, this is a thought. The thought is this. Oh, this is a feeling. Again, you'll be surprised. The other tool I want to talk about is micro moments of gratitude and presence. During the day, just pause for a couple seconds and ask yourself, what's alive right now that I can notice and appreciate? Maybe it's something as simple as your own breath, or maybe it's someone's smile. Maybe it's the sun through the window. These moments weave presence into life, and gratitude is its own medicine. And I really invite you to have a gratitude practice, whether it's I journal about it every morning, but I also try to appreciate things when I see them and take that moment of gratitude. It's really powerful. One tool I want to say when doing all of this is to schedule these breaks, these presence breaks. Carve out just 2 or 3 minutes to check in about a mindfulness practice, whatever that is for you. And you can change it up all the time. It can be breathing, it can be noticing, it can be labeling my feelings or my thoughts, whatever it is, you can switch it all up, but carve it out in your time. Like, oh, I'm at lunch right now. I have 3 minutes while I'm walking over to the place where I'm going to eat lunch. I'm going to do a little walking meditation of breathing and noticing. However, it works for you, you can carve out a couple minutes. A lot of people do this practice while they're doing something like brushing their teeth and they just really pay attention to brushing their teeth. Or maybe it's just a few minutes when you first wake up or right before you go to bed. And you have just those quiet times and keep doing it till it becomes a habit. It's important to acknowledge that being present isn't always easy, especially during very hard times. Let's talk about some of the common obstacles and how to work with them. The first one is when pain is intense, the mind wants to escape. Future think, past think. Presence can feel like too much, but research shows that gently turning toward difficulty, noticing it with awareness rather than avoiding, can reduce the hold. This is very true. I had chronic pain after, as some of you know, I woke up during surgery and it severed arteries and nerves in my foot. And so I have a lot of ghost pain, nerve pain, things like that that happen in my foot. It doesn't quite work exactly perfectly. And I used mindfulness practice so that I don't have to take medication for the pain because I didn't want to take pain medication for the rest of my life. So I started a practice of mindfulness for the pain, and it was just groundbreaking. I still do it today all the time, and it's really helpful. And I use it also for mental and emotional pain. Something really horrible happens. I do want to escape. I do want to think about the future or the past, or I go over something that happened, in third grade, all the times I messed up, all these things. I like to really spiral into that just, oh God, that just horrible, fetid place of bringing up everything that's horrible. And if you can just turn towards the difficulty, noticing it with awareness rather than avoiding it or future thinking or past thinking or memory thinking or anything, just here it is. Like I said before, here it is. Here's this problem. I acknowledge that it happened. I acknowledge that it's here. I acknowledge that I need to do something about it, but it's here. I notice this pain. It's here for me. And there are a lot of different techniques you can use for pain management and mindfulness that work really, really well and are fairly easy, which we'll talk about at another time. But I encourage you to look into that if you are experiencing physical pain. Presence doesn't mean that you're stuck in paralysis or that you ignore action. It means that we act from clarity rather than reactivity. We take this pause to get clarity on what's happening. We're not just reacting to whatever came into our life that's unpleasant. We're taking a pause to look at it with clarity so we'll know how to respond to it. And that is the purpose of bringing mindfulness into your life during challenging times, or one of them. Presence is not a one size fits all. One study found that while mindfulness helps many people, it may not work in the same way for everyone in every situation. So while it can help you, the way you're practicing mindfulness or how you're coming to it or what you're thinking about it or how it's working for you is an individualized thing. How your friend does it might be something else entirely. I notice this a lot in just how we communicate about mindfulness. How I might communicate about mindfulness is so different than how other people I know talk about mindfulness. They talk about mindfulness more in this very concrete, practical way, and I talk about it more in this spiritual kind of way. But in the end, the effects are the same. Presence also doesn't mean no hope or no planning. As you engage in the present, you can still hold a vision for the future and draw from your values. Presence simply keeps you grounded while you navigate the unpleasant thing or the challenge or the disruption. So it's not that you never move forward with it. You're just moving forward in a space of clarity, and you're being present while you navigate your way through the storm. Remember, modeling presence, even for a few minutes, can be really potent. It can help other people and give other people the invitation to do the same. It invites your community into calmer, wiser ways of being rather than escalating with the storm. And as I always say on I Care About You, this is a community, and we're all navigating this together. So if you have any ideas or good tips for navigating this, for finding presence, for being there, for being able to invite your community into that space or your family into that space, please share that with us. You can either DM me on any social medias or my website, or you can leave a comment if you're listening or watching this in a place that allows. It's really helpful for everyone. And if anything, it just lets us all know that we're not alone in navigating these things. So as we wrap up, I'll leave you with a few things. Being present, staying in the here and now, brings us steadiness, clarity, and connection, especially during hard times. Mindfulness is backed by research. It shows that there's less anxiety, stronger resilience, and better emotional regulation, and it's practical. You can begin with the breath, with noticing your body, with labeling your thoughts, with micro pauses. It's really so easy. And it doesn't take a lot to learn these simple things. You already know how to do all of them. You're just doing them in a mindful way. I invite you this week to pick one of the tools we discussed. For example, anchor in your breath or in the environment and noticing what's around you. Do that twice a day and journal about what changed, what you noticed. It'll take a little while. In my journaling group last night, we were talking about when you start a journal, you often aren't that honest with yourself at first. You haven't talked to yourself in these deep ways yet. It seems uncomfortable. It's a little vulnerable. It's a little hard to get into. But as you keep up your journaling practice, you'll notice all of a sudden you're really deep with yourself. You can really understand yourself. You're really starting to work through things, but it does take some time. The journaling, having a mindful journal and journaling about what you did, what you noticed, what changed, how it worked, how it didn't, what you could do differently, what your problem is, teasing it apart and looking at it objectively, noticing your thoughts, all those things can be really important information that you can jot down in a journal and go back to later. In my journaling group last night, someone did mention they go back in their journal and they learn a lot about themselves from what they wrote a while ago, not just today. And everybody was in agreement. All heads were nodding. Yes, this is so true. So journal can be really important here in just helping with your growth moving forward and finding tools with your mindfulness. And remember, you don't have to be perfect at presence. It's very hard, especially today in this fast-paced world. It's not about suppressing or controlling. It's about allowing what's happening and responding with awareness rather than reacting unconsciously. It's about responding, being aware of how you're responding, not just reacting to things. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for caring about yourself and caring about others. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with somebody who could use it. Reflect on it, come back to it, reach out to me if you have more questions or thoughts about it, and be good to yourself. It's hard. Things are hard. Change and uncertainty is hard. Finding the ability to be present in a moment or two is just an out-breath, something you give to yourself, self-care. So be good to yourself as you move through these challenges. There's no perfect way. There's just the way, how it unfolds. And before we go, I just want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsors. Cozy Earth's luxury bamboo bedding and pajamas is loved by Oprah and Kris Jenner. Enjoy an exclusive discount with my promo code ICAREABOUTYOU at CozyEarth.com. Get 41% off everything in the store. Zevo Life is a health, nutrients-packed drink of plant protein, amino acids, fiber, antioxidants. It's whole plant-based product. You can visit zevo.life today. Use the promo code ICAREABOUTYOU and get 30% off. I'll put all that information will also be in the description of this podcast. And lastly, remember that you are not alone. You are witnessed. You are worthy. You are alive right now. And until next time, know that I love you and I support you and I care about you. And we're all in this together. Take care, my friend.